Hello and welcome. We start with breaking news from Washington, where Steve Bannon, who worked closely with the former President Donald Trump as a strategist, has been found guilty of contempt of Congress. The charges were brought after he defied a summons to testify at the congressional hearings into the January the 6th riots at the U.S. Capitol building. He'll be sentenced in October. He could face up to 2 years in prison. But speaking outside the courtroom in just the last hour, he remained unrepentant.
I want to start by thanking the jury. We respect their decision today. I really want to thank those hardworking citizens of Washington, D.C. that had to take an entire week off to go through this, so their thanks. We respect their decision. We may have lost a battle here today, but we're not going to lose this war. In the closing argument, the prosecutor missed one very important phrase, right? I stand with Trump and the Constitution, and I will never back off that, ever.
So Steve Bannon there speaking outside the court within just the last hour. He has been found guilty of 2 counts of contempt of Congress. Let's cross over live to speak to our correspondent in Washington, Barbara Plett, Usher, who joins us now. Barbara, let's start with what he has been found guilty of, these 2 charges.
Yes, the issue is quite straightforward. Did Mr. Bannon defy Congress by flouting the subpoena issued him by its investigating committee? 2 subpoenas, one to deliver documents and one to testify, and he did neither. He had argued that it was not a flouting, that he had executive privilege, that he was in negotiations with the committee, he didn't realize there was a deadline, and so on. The prosecution said he had blatant disregard for their demands and that he was doing so to protect his former boss, President Trump. So he has been found guilty on both charges. These are misdemeanor crimes. And as you mentioned, the most severe sentence would be up to 2 years in prison.
And this is, of course, all in context when it comes to the committee that is looking at what happened during the riots on the 6th of January 2021. This is what is so crucial about his potential involvement, what he has been accused of.
That's right. The committee wanted to speak to him because it had information that he had taken part in consultations with Mr. Trump and his allies around a strategy to overturn the election, that he had also, on his podcast the night before the January 6th assault, had basically said all hell would break loose the next day. So they wanted to question him on his involvement. Now that he has been convicted, he is the first close Trump aide to be convicted in a matter related to an investigation into the Capitol attack. Again, it's a low-level crime, but he is the first. It could strengthen the committee's hand as it tries to get more information from Mr. Trump's allies, as it has issued subpoenas that have been resisted in other cases, and it plans to issue more, so it might have a greater leverage in that case. It's not clear if this would encourage it to make criminal referrals in more high-level crimes, but it is an interesting development. And the lawyer of Mr. Bannon has said they will appeal the decision. He said there was a government overreach, in particular because the committee would not accept the argument that Mr. Bannon had executive privilege because he was protected by having formerly worked in the White House.
And this particular trial itself, it was short, and as we were talking a little bit earlier, the jury came to their conclusions pretty quickly. We heard Steve Bannon come out there afterwards being unrepentant and very much sticking to his line. So I wonder what we can expect next, if anything.
Well, the sentencing is going to take place in October. So we'll find out what the sentence is going to be. There is going to be this appeal, according to his lawyer, and it sounds like Mr. Bannon will keep up his political opposition stance to the committee itself. He said his greatest disappointment was that what he called the showcase committee members the members of the showcase committee investigation had not had the guts to come forth and testify at the trial. So it sounds like he is going to continue his public attacks on the committee. It also sounds like he is completely unrepentant for having stood by Mr. Trump.